side-by-side again. Last time it didn't quite work. Can he make it stick this time? He's not fully passed, but he held on as they swing back in. A little bit of car contact between them. That sends him out. Topi's going to pounce on it. He's going to try and take that second place back as it goes through Brooklyn's tires spinning up as Simone is not willing to give way. He's got the inside back and through, more side-to-side contact between he and his rival. Somehow they come out the other side, but it's still not done, DJ. It's down to cops they go.
Oh, it's really close. Here we go. It's Discolindo. He tries to make the move on U-Bluth as they send Hideki Koivisto flying.
Koivisto manages not to hit the wall. I think he's going to be okay, but he's not going to be happy about that.
Discolindo, he's going for a braking move on Fabian U-Bluth. He's going to send it deep into turn 7. He's going to be on the inside as they head around the corner. He should have the position, but U-Bluth holds out. They're going to go side by side as they go into the S's.
Oh, can he get this done finally? Chucks it in, but he goes a little too deep. Coming back at him. Here comes Jungbluth trying to take this fourth away. Again, this will tie the points lead. If Aitor can get past him, they're going to run together. Little bit of contact, splitting either side of Marco Lay. Who's going to win the battle down to the breaking of the hairpin?
Well, and let's take a look at that. That may have been a mistake there from Jeff Schmeier going for the move. How he kept that out of the side of the number 220 is beyond belief, but amazing car control there from the number 30.
Not close enough to Timo for this lap by. Oh, but look into the first corner. That's for the lead. Kortaniemi on the attack on Partanen, but he's going to be vulnerable as Simone sees the chance. Now that he's slow off the corner, swings around him, and he is through down into Maggots and Beckett's.
And this is where things get extremely complicated. He's going to try and go on the outside, gets pushed out wide into the grass, loses it, and now we're all along for the ride.
Whoa! I know there's a rallycross course here, but this car's not made for that. And he got air, all four wheels off the ground, still kept it out of the barrier and brought it back. That's going to likely cause a little damage to the car regardless, but great heads up by the 16.
He's going to have to go the long way around the left-handed sweeper here. Is he going to be ahead by the time they get into the braking zone? Are we going to see side-by-side for 2 successive laps going through Moss? Little bit of maybe contact there for Ozowski, bumping and banging, banging and bumping as they exit the corner.
Luis Nunez tries to cover it off then. It's going to try and pinch and pinch and pinch as they go towards turn 1, but he'll get just about what he needs. Oh, he has a big moment in the middle, and up and under Jukka Tolonen, experience prevailing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Good
and welcome to the IROC Challenge Series live from the scenic Irish hills of southern Michigan. From here, just off US Highway 12, you will find the Michigan International Speedway, a mainstay of auto racing since 1967. Tonight, it's showtime, it's chase time, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello, I'm Ossian Puhakka, but you can call me Ossi, and I'm joined by our expert commentator, Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Adam Lindgren, and we'll be using cameras supplied by the esteemed master of his farm, Dougie Beer. But before we dive into the main course, let's take a closer look at what's on the menu from the GSRC track guide.
Welcome to the Michigan International Speedway. This 2-mile D-shaped oval located in the beautiful Irish hills of southern Michigan, sitting about an hour and a half's drive to the southwest of Detroit along I-94, right in the backyard of Chevrolet and Ford. When you're that close to Detroit power, your speedway better live up to the hype. 18-degree banked corners with a 12-degree banked front stretch allow for maximum power and lots of action. The higher downforce Indy cars were able to put on spectacular shows of driver bravery and talent. In recent years, it's played host to mostly the tin top cars, as the NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, Gander Truck, and even ARCA Series have all hosted events here in the last decade. Michigan is a wide, sweeping oval, but it isn't harmless. The lowest groove of the corners near the bottom can be your very best friend in the IndyCar, but your worst enemy in the tin tops. Cars will frequently get loose that far down the track, causing chaos for the pack behind. Michigan is all about speed and lots of it. Often the drivers that find the most success here are the ones willing to experiment around the track and find grip their competitors haven't. The facility in recent years has doubled down on fan comfort as well, giving more elbow room, redoing seats, camping areas, even providing Wi-Fi to watch all of these live broadcasts in the grandstands of all the sections. All in all, Michigan has become a staple of American motorsports since it opened in 1968. Fans and drivers both always look forward to when the schedules come back to the beautiful Irish hills of southern Michigan. Fast speeds, high action, it's all here at Michigan International Speedway, where it's your speed.
Alright, that was the track guide to Michigan International Speedway, and Joey, this is one of the fastest racetracks in the United States, that's much we know, but how's the racing here? How does it work with this car?
You're right, it is one of the fastest ovals here in America. Located in Brooklyn, Michigan, it is a D-shaped oval with 18 degrees of banking in the turns. It is 2 miles in length, and really the name of the game here can be momentum up along the wall, or it can be painting the white line all the way down around the apron. There's a lot of different racing lines out here for these Chevrolet Camaro Xfinity cars. Every competitor is in them tonight, and I think I'm looking forward to the drafting games that are playing, but most of all, the multiple lanes of racing that are really going to provide maybe 2-wide, 3-wide, or even 4-wide racing. I'm really excited to see what it brings tonight here, Ozzy.
Yep, so am I, and I'm really excited to bring you our sponsors for this series, the wonderful people we work together with. Of course, Zoe's Place. The mission of Zoe's Place, Child Advocacy Center, is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team, MDT, conducts investigations and intervention activities. Our goals are to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing for children and their non-offending caregivers. Our vision and all of that is very important to us. R&R Racewear, your source to all your custom racewear apparel and needs and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at r-rracewear.com, as well as Evidence-Based Mommy. Do you have questions about parenting or non-toxic living? Visit evidencebasedmommy.com, where Dr. Samantha Radford combines science and wellness to help parents and kids thrive. As well as Lucky Fin. We are proud to celebrate the Lucky Fin project, which has created a nationwide support network for parents of kids with limb differences and provides limb difference education and awareness. Find more info at luckyfinproject.org. That's luckyfinproject.org. And Loud Pedal TV, as well as 5-star graphics, and working with us as well is the Hot Dog Stand podcast and Sim Coaches. So make sure to check them out, and thank you for providing your support to the IROC Challenge series. Right, next up we got the championship standings, and it's not your usual championship standings, Joey, because as I said on the intro, we have begun the chase. Now, why don't you go through these numbers here and explain to us what exactly the chase means?
Yeah, definitely. The chase now is kind of like the playoffs, if you think about it. It's kind of a bracket style where these top 16 drivers are now really set on equal playing grounds. There are a few exceptions here. As you see on the screen, there's 3 drivers that actually have a 10-point bonus going into that. That's going to be Brian McCann, Kevin McCann, and Aaron Smith II. They all have an additional 10 bonus points starting here on the chase. And then there's several drivers here that have 5 bonus points. That's going to be Jesse King, Chris Mefford, and Neil Quick. Now, the rest all start there on an even playing field. That's going to be Hunter Clark, Josh Funkhauser, Mike Cook, Brandon Leclerc, and then really this isn't 11th place. These are just all, once again, on a level playing field of Brandon Mefford, Kyle Pendergraft, Cook Quick, Tim Sheffield, David Trumbley, and Chris Wally. The key here is this first round of playoffs is 3 races. You want to be up in the top finishing positions because we're going to eliminate some drivers after those 3 races, and it'll move on to the next round of the bracket. So really right now, these extra bonus points to start off, they might play a crucial role, but it's most important to have a clean race, especially round 1 of the chase, Ozzy.
Absolutely. You want to get it off in the right direction, and especially if you're not one of those drivers who are in the bonus points, looking for race wins and, expected to get race wins. You want to get all the points you can naturally. Right, the race details there on your screen. Round 11 out of 18, so it's the first round of the 8-round chase. We got 100 laps up here tonight with fixed setups. So no change to the setups other than brake balance. That's the thing you can change. Rest of it, it's all completely fixed, all on the level, same playing field. No spare car either. You wreck it, you buy it. That's essentially the name of the game. So you don't get that spare car from the pit lane. We got 4 total tire sets. That means when we got 3 stages, 2 pit stops, you essentially got 2 other pit stops you can make towards the end of the race or halfway through stage 1, for example. You got 4 in total, so 3 new sets from the pit lane. And we got 3 green, white checkers attempts. That means if the race would otherwise end under caution, you are essentially going to overtime. And we got 3 overtimes here, and the final overtime, well, that's going to be it, wreckers or checkers. Right. And I should also mention about something we've been talking about a lot as we were watching Brandon Mefford go through his qualifying efforts. We got a driver on a hot streak here, Joey. Neil Quick. He won the All-Star race last time out at 5 Flags Speedway, and he's the defending winner of the last points race at Daytona as well. You got a driver on a hot streak coming here to the first round of the chase at Michigan. It's got to be the ideal situation to start off with.
Momentum is always a good thing, especially when you're going into a bracket style of elimination. You want to be up at the front, and the more momentum you can carry, especially winning races, that makes you feel good. That makes you riding that high coming in. Can't do anything wrong, but you also got to watch your back out there because there's plenty of other fast racers. I know that Brian McCann and Kevin McCann, not only them, but Aaron Smith also have 2 wins each this season. So trust me, Neil Quick is not the only fast guy out there that might be riding a wave of momentum. And it's been a little bit since IROC last visited here at Michigan, and that might toss these drivers a little bit for a loop, Ozzy.
It absolutely could, as we get a good look soon at the starting grid of this race. Not quite yet, but we'll get that look up soon. And we saw the name McCann out there fastest in the qualifying. So that was certainly something that we can expect Of course, it is Brian and Kevin McCann with 2 wins each this season. So they're definitely going to be drivers we expect to do well today and expect to do well in this series. The other driver, as mentioned earlier in the championship, is Aaron Smith II, who has 2 wins as well. And here he is, pictured, the man from Carolina in number 70, one of the favorites heading out there today in Michigan. So before we go to the starting grid here, Joey, how important exactly is the qualifying at Michigan International Speedway? Because I know it matters very, very little at the super speedways. And while this is technically a 2-mile track, technically it could be classified as a super speedway, it is a speedway. So it's a bit more important, I suppose, and especially in the early on when you try to find your groove.
Coming from a driver's perspective, I think there's 2 ways to look at it. I think that I always want to be up front in qualifying and always kind of be in front of the scrum of the middle of the pack, if you will. And so it feels good to do that. However, you were mentioning this is pretty much a speedway race. This is a lot of drafting, so in case qualifying doesn't go right, maybe your car doesn't act right as a solo car out there, your car acts better in traffic, I'm not too worried about it. I can take a deep breath and I know I can work my way up through traffic, especially with all the drafting that's going to happen tonight.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that you really have to have confidence, especially when you're starting from back of the field, because you're going to be doing a lot of overtaking. You're going to have to settle into somebody else's pace. It's not the same thing as running out front in the clean air. Of course, some people will be used to that starting from the back. Some people will be used to that starting from the front. Certainly, both McCanns are used to starting from the pole, and especially Aaron Smith II, 4 pole positions this season, the most out of anyone this year. So somebody who will be certainly keeping an eye on this year. Brandon Leclerc here pictured, one of the drivers who are also involved in the chase. No bonus points for him, but he is somebody who has been on a string of decent results as of late, somebody who can maybe surprise us out here today at Michigan. Speaking of Michigan, because I want to talk about this track, it's one of my favorites. And it's also one of the tracks I got one of my first NASCAR experiences from, all the way back in NASCAR Racing 2003. So that's the predecessor, if you will, to iRacing as a simulation. I think it was first or second race that I ever did was at Michigan International Speedway. Of course, the cars were different back then, the physics were different back then, and all sort of things. But I remember falling in love, essentially, with how fast it is. So you can imagine my disappointment when we got to Martinsville next time around. But yeah, so Michigan, it's a special place, isn't it? There's nothing else quite like it. Not really.
No, there really isn't anything quite like it. You might be able to compare maybe like Pocono to it, but it's a vastly different racetrack than Michigan. Michigan is just this crazy fast 2-mile D-shaped oval. It's been around since the 60s, so there's been a lot of racing that's happened here, and there's actually been other racetracks that have kind of been modeled similarly after it because it provides this awesome racing like we were talking about. Where else can you go haul in the mail 200 miles an hour down into turn 1? I know these Xfinity cars are a little bit slower, but look at this. We've got 3-wide racing on the screen here in warm-up. Just coming off of turn 2, the different lanes of racing that this racetrack provides, and also the high speeds that it provides, it's just awesome to watch, and behind the wheel, it's even more fun.
No, absolutely is. As we got 20 seconds to the end of warm-up, and then we can get to the starting grid. Gridding up onto the pit lane, of course. The one thing I want to mention, the last thing I want to mention, well, not really, because we still got a race to cover, but regarding Michigan and how fun it is. Those wide turns when you're going so fast, and once the tires are starting to go, once the tire wear happens, and it will happen in this race. First couple of laps, they may be flat out. You can essentially go pedal to the metal, but after the tires are starting to go out, the car control that is becoming less and less important these days with how glued the cars are to the track. This is one of those old school tracks where you can still chase the car up the racetrack, where you can still go a little bit sideways. It's not good for the tires, but you will still see drivers wrestling with the cars in a different fashion than in your typical short track, for example. But you will still see it, and that's what I'm personally looking forward to. I'm an absolute advocate of sideways action in racing as long as it makes sense. I'm from Finland, after all. We're the country of rallying. How can you not love things going sideways? As we have the starting grid out for today's race, and in the pole position it is Brian McCann taking his second pole of the season, and starting alongside him on the front row will be Brandon Mefford. Aaron Smith the second will be starting in row number 2. Alongside him will be Chris Mefford. Then we got David Brown in a very good qualifying position, and Jesse King then in 6th place. Neil Quick, riding that hot streak, will be starting 7th. That's surprisingly low for him, but look for that number 2 car to gain positions throughout the race. We got Mike Koch in 8th place. We got Kevin McCann 9th, and Joshua Funkhauser rounding out your top 10.
Here in 11th place, we got Kyle Pendergraft, and then next to him there on row 6 is Brandon Leclerc in 12th place. Following up there in 13th is James Kaufman and Cook Quick. Hunter Clark will be rounding out the top 15. Dylan Dellinger, Stoney Benfield, and Billy J. Walker there in 18th. David Trumbly 19th, and Chris Wally there in 20th place.
Indeed, and a couple of more drivers still to go. Jamie Abrell, we got Tim Schofield, Brian Reek, Brian Kaufman, and Jeff Napier rounding out the 25 driver field. 25 drivers here racing at Michigan International Speedway. It's not quite 40, but it's still a big field, and I'll be personally looking forward to what happens in these opening laps. Right, we got just less than a minute here to the race start. Any last minute advice, Joey, to these drivers?
Strap in, buckle up, hang on, but most importantly, I know that we got a couple stages here. Make it through the first one, you know, make it through here clean, and then start to go do some racing. Save your best stuff for the end.
Indeed, air temp 79 degrees Fahrenheit, track temp, it's steamy 124. We got winds from northeast at 2 miles an hour, and we are ready to go racing here at the iRacing IROC Challenge Series. It's round 1 of the playoffs, and that means it is showtime. It is go time, and let's go. The green flag is in the air.
You got 25 of these Camaros that are going to barrel it down into turn 1, Ozzy. I know that these cars do take a little bit of time to get up to speed as they accelerate up through the gears, but already looks like we got 3-4 wide racing going on through the middle of the track back there.
Yeah, they're trying to find their positions here. Very much using all of those wide tarmac lanes, all 3 lanes and then some here at Michigan International Speedway. Look at them there, fanning out 2 wide, fanning out some 3 wides. They're going very high. Is the 00 machine, I believe that was, and in the lead we are single file, but behind them they are still jostling for positions. They're looking forward, looking for the place that they can find here on the queue, looking for their own spot, trying to make their own race happen and trying to get there as soon as possible. Some people, of course, will be looking to preserve that tire early on. They'll be looking to go slower, Joey. Oh, and we got wreckers in the back as well. 2 cars going off on the apron and into the wall, and that means the yellow flag is out in lap number 2. Well, that didn't take long, did it?
No, it didn't. It looked like that was the 41 of James Kaufman and the 54 of Hunter Clark that were involved back there. I caught a little bit of it. It looked like it was maybe off of the exit of turn 2, just a little bit of 2 wide racing going on, and maybe a little bit of misjudgment, maybe a little bit of netcode as we get a replay pulled up here, but thankfully it was only these 2 cars that were involved. That could have been a messy one right off of the beginning here.
Yeah, you can see James Kaufman there just getting a little bit tangled up there, and the 41. It's hard to the inside wall. 54 as well involved in that incident. You can see there on board as we go riding with Kaufman there on that incident. Just taking the high line. Joey looking to the high line and just, I don't know. It's one of those things that can happen so easily at corner exit. where you're not quite glued to the wall, and at the same time the car on the inside maybe gets a little bit higher than you expect. It's always one of those hard skips a beat moments when you're a race car driver just hoping there is no contact, and at this point in time you just get tangled up, bumper hook happens, and then it's game over pretty much.
I agree with you, Ozzy, as it looks like we might have a few takers down to pit road, not the leaders, but looks like maybe the majority of the midfield is actually going to come down here, top it up with fuel, and probably take another set of tires. But to get back to your point, it's also lap 2. You're still getting the feel of how everyone is racing, and maybe that car that was going to leave a little bit of room to the wall, you're just getting familiar with how they're starting to run, and there's a few more variables at the beginning of a race, and unfortunate to see 2 cars pretty hard into the wall there. So it looks like Aaron Smith II here is going to lead them into and out of pit road there. Pretty quick pit stop time of only about 5.5 seconds. That should be fuel only, yeah?
Yeah, that's fuel only, because it takes around 10 seconds to get 2 tires, 14 seconds thereabouts to get 4 tires, 5 seconds, that's fuel only. So top it up, they must be pretty tight with fuel to make it to the end of stage number 1, and that's definitely going to be advantage for those guys as we proceed on stage number 1 here at Michigan International Speedway. First caution of the day is out there on the racetrack, and I'm actually quite surprised to see Aaron Smith give up his track position in order to go to the pit lane, but we'll have to see how he proceeds from the 13th place. Out here we also see positions gained and lost. Brian Mefford there on the lead, and Brandon Mefford there on the lead. Of course, Brian McCann in the 2nd place. Give or take, lose 1 position, get 1 position. We got +3, +4s all across the board. So a couple of drivers, of course, taking to the pit lane early on. A couple of drivers getting some positions, starting out aggressive. And that's the thing. If you start out aggressive, you're pretty much committed to the I'm going to get track position early on strategy. There is that, and then there is the alternative, which is to save tires, maybe try to save some fuel, run in the mid pack, run in the back of the pack, and then look to make the charge later on in the race. So with how early the first caution was, do you think that's gonna change the strategy at all? Do you think somebody who was maybe thinking about starting off passive is now gonna go aggressive?
I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here with you, Ozzy. I actually like that strategy call, even if you still are on the same strategy as the cars that didn't pit. Simply because you now have 5.5 seconds less fuel that you need to take this next time around. Just makes for a shorter pit stop. It allows you to maybe go 2 tires instead of 4 tires and leapfrog those cars that you've already then been racing with. So I think that it's a good thing to do to put yourself on an alternate strategy, especially so early on that it's not going to completely flip the table on you. I like it. I think it's a good call.
I mean, I like alternate strategies. I like them, I really do, but I just don't see it in this case, man. I don't know. It depends. If it was me out there on the racetrack, and thankfully it ain't, because I'm here in the commentary booth, and probably doing a better job of being here than being out there on the racetrack, if I'm being honest with you, then I would go aggressive right from the get-go, and I would just try to get those positions, then see how the tires hold up, and just trust my racing. Anyway, regardless, let's see what these drivers do. They are who we are watching, and they are the ones fighting for the championship. First round of that is underway here from Michigan International Speedway. We are on our 2nd stint of the first phase of this race, let's call it that, the first leg as well as the first stage. Right, fanning out too wide, further out in the back, we got some good racing going on here, but up in the lead, it is still, I'm seeing there, Brian McCann and Jesse King trying to challenge Brandon Mefford, and actually going through is Jesse King out there taking the lead at this moment in time. So already on the first lap, we got some good racing going on here, and I love to see that. I absolutely do. Mefford, McCann trying to follow, as well as Mike Koch out there on the fourth place. So we got a couple of surprising names, and I have to talk about Brandon Mefford as we are on board with Joshua Funkhauser and we see this awesome racing taking place there. We've got to talk about Brandon Mefford because he's not one of those drivers I was necessarily expecting to be high up there. He hasn't won a race this season. He's got 5 top 5s, he got 7 top 10s. That's good enough. That's good enough, certainly, but he's not one of the favorites. But early on here at Michigan, he seems to have the pace on top of everyone apart from Josh King.
I think there's going to be a few players out there that might not have won a race but are still plenty fast. We got to remember that there are 16 drivers that made this playoff race right here. Right now, actually, the fastest lap goes to Jesse King, our leader out there in that silver and purple car. A little bit of contact off of the wall there, off of turn 2. Looks like a car's going to lose a little bit of momentum there, but keeps going. Looks like that is the number 23 of Cook Quick out there that banged the wall, but everything's still pointed the right direction. Still 2 wide racing up there for, looks like, I believe that's about 4th place or so. Actually 2 by 2 coming down the front straightaway here. Ozzy, you talked about the racing at Michigan and how special Michigan International Raceway is here, and I think you're seeing it. Oh, as we got contact, a car slides up in a big hip check up into turn 2.
Wow, that was a big one. Dallin Dellinger going to the wall in that number 5 machine, and he got absolutely hip-checked going into turn number 1, as you said, by Joshua Funkhauser in the number 81, but he survives of that one to race another day, and we are on board with Dellinger now trying to catch up to Walker, trying to catch up to Trombley, and I think he's got a little bit of a score to settle with Mr. Funkhauser should he catch up to him later on in this stint. I don't think that overtake is going to be a friendly one.
No, it's not going to be friendly, especially with that left front damage that he's now got on his race car. Now, remember, all of these cars are running an identical setup, so that's definitely going to be a performance disadvantage now for his car. He's going to have to drive it even harder. The tires are going to wear even more, something you were mentioning earlier, Ozzy, is the different lines and this tire wear that you encounter. It's just going to make his race a lot more difficult moving forward, especially with all these cars all over the racetrack, creating a lot of dirty air. It's going to be a difficult climb back up towards the front.
It's going to be super interesting to see as these drivers are taking the high line, most of the middle line, high line. That seems to be the preferred option. A couple of drivers there going low, I see, and almost actually contact between the number 5 of Dylan Dellinger, who goes into the wall at the exit of turn number 2. You talked about that damage to the left front of his car. Maybe that is now playing an effect as he is getting just absolutely mugged by everybody here. You see Jamie Abrell going by, David Brown going by him as well, Aaron Smith the second ahead already. Dellinger, he's not a happy camper right now.
He is not a happy camper. He hit the wall hard again off of turn 2 and then had slight contact with the car in front of him. Jamie Abrell going into turn 3, but just the damage, you know, he can't get his car to drive how he wants to. You see him running up the racetrack a little bit, just trying to limp this car around and probably waiting for a caution flag that he can come down and get some repairs done on this car. Just got to make it through, as we've now got a battle up front right now. That's Jesse King, Brandon Mefford. Actually, this is a battle for second, third, and fourth place between Brandon Mefford, Brian McCann, and Brandon Leclerc on your screen as they come down, complete lap 12, working lap 13 now.
Yeah, and not only is there a battle for second place, I think they would be best served to wait just a little bit longer because Brandon Mefford out in second place, we mentioned him earlier, not only has he been great here at Michigan, no wins this season yet, but he is actually reeling in Jesse King. The gap was almost 1 second after the first couple of laps here in this stint. Now it is just 0.4 of a second and it is closing, and you can see just McCann and Koch and Leclerc as well just trying to chase down the 83 car, trying to stay in that pole. They are side by side for the fourth place between Leclerc and Koch. Let's see who is gonna take that one as they head towards turn number 1. Once again, I think it might be Leclerc who is on that preferred high line. We see him up there, see his shadow, and yep, he is ahead of Mike Koch for the time being, and you can already see them a little bit sideways on corner exit. And I tell you what, if you're sideways on lap 14 here in this first and just the first leg, mind you, of this race, we got 3 stages. This is the first one of them. you're not gonna have any better time going later on in here in this one, because mind you, this is gonna be 40 laps they have to go through, actually 48 laps here in this first stage. So if you're gonna nurse those tires all the way to the end, yeah, you're not gonna be a happy one by the end of it, not at all.
No, tire conservation is always the name of the game in racing. Even in a sprint race, the more you can save towards the end, the better off you are. Looks like we've got a side-by-side battle here for 9th, 10th, 11th place. I think that's Aaron Smith there in the number 70, challenging Chris Wally in the 51 right now for 9th place. Looks like this train is actually pretty close, and Aaron Smith, the second here, seems to have a little bit more speed, and he's one of the names that we talked about in the championship that's really carrying a lot of momentum. He's got a couple wins on the season already. He's got his car firmly placed underneath here, trying to take away this 9th position, but as we see, really that top lane can just carry the momentum. They are able to get back to the throttle and carry it through, but Aaron Smith is going to dive it down there through turns 1 and 2, maybe get all the way up alongside, but down the back straightaway once again. We're seeing that outside lane just kind of carry the momentum and the top speed. It's really interesting.
Meanwhile,
to see
up and the lead.
flow.
Yeah, it's Brandon Mefford here up at the lead, taking the position away from Jesse King. And look at King right now in that purple number 25. He not only lost the lead, but he lost the second place as well to Brian McCann out there. So it's Brandon Mefford, Brian McCann, and 10 Jesse King trying to survive in that purple car. Behind them, you got Mike Koch. And you got Brandon Leclerc too. So those 5 drivers here on the leading queue. But right now it is Brandon Mefford who has the pace. But here's my question. Now that they got the lead. Oh, and we got some situation out there on the back. Whoa. Was it the... Please don't... Oh, it's Jamie Abreu. Okay. I was thinking just for a moment there it's Dellinger again in that number 5 in his dreadful start of the race, but no, it was somebody else for once here. And we're going to see a replay of that, Joey, right here on your screens. What happened to Jamie Abreu?
Yeah, looks like Jamie Abreu just gets a little bit up wide coming out of turn 2. It's that understeer that you were even talking about earlier, just the car down low. It's tough to keep it down there, and you get that big understeer that pushes you out up into that wider line where, unfortunately, another car was.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but thankfully there was no major issues there. I mean, you had contact, yes, you had loss of time, yes, probably some minor damage, but that could have been so much worse as we saw earlier on in this race. As I was talking about here on the lead pack as we move further towards the back, I want to talk about Mefford and McCann for a moment, if I may. Because now that Brandon Mefford and Brian McCann have gone through Jesse King, and King can somewhat maybe follow their lines, settle down a little bit, trying to hold on to their toe, do you think that Brian is going to let Brandon lead the pack? Or if Brian has more pace, do you think we'll see a round 2 of the fight between these 2 drivers, and maybe Brian gunning for that lead despite them also trying to run away from their chasers?
I think you're getting your answer right now as we've got a battle for the lead between Mefford and McCann. That's McCann in the number 3 blue and yellow car that's down on the bottom of the racetrack right now. They both are kind of running the middle as we see the 83 battle it back on the top side of the racetrack. Usually the top side has carried the momentum down the back straightaway as it does here, really forcing the number 3 of Brian McCann to tuck back in and try again, but you were mentioning, are you going to be aggressive or are you going to sit there in the draft? And I think the number 3 wants to take the lead right now, Ozzy.
Yeah, I think he does. Brian McCann there already alongside earlier on, carrying the legacy of the most famous number 3 in racing here, being a little bit of an intimidator himself there. And Jesse King, we are running on board him. On board with him. I must say he's trying to find a second win here. Okay, you got the leaders battling, that's gonna slow them down obviously. Not really focused on the ultimate lap time as they are with the fight with each other. But since Jesse King was passed by, since he allowed those people to catch up to him and pass him, he hasn't really dropped back. He stayed right there, like a shadow. And it's almost as if he's saying, don't mind me, just keep going.
Yeah, you know, he's having a pretty good race out there, and I'm not going to fault him at all because, like you said, he's still in touch with that lead group. It's really a group of 4 out front as we're riding along board with the number 51 right now. This is Chris Wally on your screen in 10th place. Got kind of a 4-car battle here between 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. So we get a good run coming out of turn 2. We really see this momentum kind of carry him down the back straightaway. He got a better run out of 2. He didn't get that understeer on the exit of the corner and really released him down the back straightaway nicely, but he's going to have a battle on his hands to try to clear this 81 on the exit of 4, and I'm not sure if he's going to clear him or not. This is going to continue down the front straightaway. You're going to dive down towards the line, try to take the shortest way around, as we've got a change for the lead up front. The 83 goes around the number 3 car, but it's still side by side coming out of 2.
Yep, it's still Brian McCann trying to take the lead away from Brandon Mefford, but Mefford is still holding on to it. But look at them, they're absolutely dead even, neck on neck. You got McCann on the inside, you got McCann on the outside and Mefford on the inside in that red and gray machine there, trying to hold on to what he can. And look at that inside line. It's starting to work better and better. I'm starting to see it right now. Usually you get better run to the main straight from the outside line, but here you can see before just using the inside line to his advantage. And Joey, are we starting to see track temps maybe coming into play already at this stage of the race?
Maybe it's a little bit of track temps. Maybe it's the drivers just getting a feel of how their cars are handling. And maybe it's a little bit of tire wear that's also going on right now. And these drivers are all going to have to combat all of these variables the entire time during the race. And it's just something we're going to have to keep an eye on, as it still looks like the number 3 of Brian McCann is not giving up this fight for the lead. Still Brandon Mefford out front, Brian McCann in second place. That's Jesse King in the 25. That's the silver and purple car there in third place. And then fourth place with the 00 of Mike Koch back there. But right now, almost 3 wide going into turn 1. I think each one of these cars is maybe looking for a little bit of clean air, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think so, especially McCann, who is running so close to the back of Mefford. You know, it's fixed setup, so obviously there can't have been any tape changes. You can't really add any more tape, but I think you might be right with that one. They're looking for clean air, they're looking for that line, and you can see actually Mefford taking to the inside, McCann following him through as well. We see some smoke there at the exit of turn number 4, and we see cars electing to go to the pit lane. That's a couple of drivers there.
Yeah, looks like
that option right now.
That's the number 19 of Bill Walker there. I think that I see the 21 of Brandon Leclerc, and then also maybe the 01 there of Brian Kaufman. I see actually a handful of cars down there on pit road. I know that we are going to have a couple stage cautions here. First one coming at lap 40, but this is a strategy call, Ozzy.
It is, and they're dead even splitting the first stage almost. We are looking at 48 laps on the first stage. They came in, it was lap number 25. So that's splitting it almost dead even. And look out for those guys now that they come out of the pit lane. And you should look at the number 5 of Dylan Dellinger, Brandon Leclerc, car number 21, who are coming to the pit lane. And we got more takers as well. Right now we got Chris Wally, we got Josh Funkhauser, Cook Wick, David Trombley, Jamie Abrell as well onto the pit lane here at lap number 26, going on to lap number 27. So this is going to throw a spanner into the works, and now I wonder how, I wonder why, and I wonder if Mefford, McCann, King and Co are now seeing these cars in the pit lane and thinking, maybe if we should do it now, because you have to respond quickly, and here they come.
Yeah, we got all 4 leaders diving down towards pit road. Looks like they all make it down to pace car speed without too many incidents out there. And yeah, tires are going to be worth a lot of lap time. From their last lap, it looks like they've fallen off almost 2 seconds from their fastest lap here as we get Brandon Mefford and these leaders coming to a stop at their pit box. Make sure not to drive in too far and cost yourself any unnecessary time. But looks like all 4 get stopped on their marks and gonna get going here with about 8.5, 9 seconds on the stop.
Oh! No. Okay, I did not expect to see that. I expected to see some cars sideways, Joey, but out of the exit of your pit box, Brandon, not the time to show off. Okay, here's another point. As we try to recover our heartbeat and our heart rate from that moment by Brandon Mefford at the exit of pit lane, Aaron Smith II, he came to the pit lane on the first caution. We were wondering, okay, are they doing it just for fuel? Here's our answer right there.
Yeah, you're right. He's leapfrogged all these other cars now that if they've run their tank dry, this is a pure strategy call that he's able to run longer. However, if these other cars are just using its strategy and didn't take a full tank, I think Aaron Smith even here could come down to pit road, take an even shorter tank, and leapfrog probably quite a few of these cars. As right now, our current leader on the racetrack is Aaron Smith, but this is a battle for second place between Kevin McCann, Neil Quick, and Kyle Pendergraft out there. Good battle coming out of turn 2.
It is an excellent battle here between these drivers, so you can see them fighting it out for the second place. Looking to go through is Neil Quick, but not quite able to make the re-overtake happen. So it is indeed Kevin McCann taking home that second place. Well, not quite taking it home yet, but at least taking it for now. And you can see Neil Quick and you can see Kevin McCann coming to the pit lane, as is Aaron Smith II, our race leader, who is on to the pit lane. So they were able to go a couple of laps longer. I'm not sure how beneficial that will be, because yes, it will be a shorter stop, but they will have to still take tires. Of course they will take tires at this moment in time. Now I want to see Aaron Smith there on your screens. Will he go for 2 tires? Will he go for 4? That I think will play a lot into this race. Or will he go for any tires at all?
He's got a nice clean stop. I saw him get stopped in his box. That's a 9-second stop, which is just about equal to those leaders that we saw earlier. And I think we're going to see him coming at speed through turns 1 and 2 and overtake Aaron Smith II out there as we get back onto the number 83. That's Brandon Mefford. That was the battle for the lead. We see Jesse King just a little bit further up on the screen, I think. And this is going to unfold right here into your lead battle.
Yep, it's Brian McCann out there on the lead, on the provisional lead at least, because we got Jeff Napier on the pit lane right now, who is gonna give away that leading position. So Brian McCann with about 1 second ahead of Jesse King. Then we got Aaron Smith II, and then we got Brandon Mefford, as well as Mike Koch and Brian Kaufman a little bit ways down. But Aaron Smith, that call working wonders for him. He's right there in the mix for the race lead, despite being quite far back earlier on here in this stint. So look at him work his way through, and let's see if he can stick behind this duo of Jesse King and Brian McCann. We see a pit stop comparison between Brian McCann and Jesse King, and you can see just about the same, actually dead even on the pit stop time, but on the pit lane, Jesse King, he took over a second longer. And that's just a good illustration of the time you can lose there on the pit lane with these cars. Mind you, no speed limiters, so you have to really be on it right from the get-go.
You think, 1.2, 1.3 seconds, it ain't that much, but look at what that translates to in terms of distance out on the racetrack. It's a huge lead that our leader in the number 3 car has right now as we ride on board with the number 70 of Aaron Smith II. He was that one who came down early, got the extra fuel, and then made that good strategy call and has really leapfrogged himself right up into this battle for second place right now. And not only that, but if he took tires, his tires are maybe just a couple laps fresher than Jesse King right here in front, may be able to conserve and do the fuel strategy game or apply the pressure as needed, as it looks like we've got a side-by-side battle here with the 46, the 33, the 19, and the 7. I'm sorry, this is all for 7th place right here. Coming down the back straightaway, lots of jostling for position.
Yeah, Terry, so you can see there Kevin McCann taking the 7th place away from Brandon Leclerc. You can see also on the inside Bill Walker looking to make himself some ground in that car number 19. We haven't seen much of him today, but here he is certainly not walking. The man is running his way up the order, looking to take on Kevin McCann next. You see Mefford and you see Leclerc. That's Chris Mefford and Brandon Leclerc side by side here on the main straight. And we are running on board with David Brown in that car number 7. He is also looking to the outside of Brandon Leclerc right now, looking to follow the drop. And careful, guys, you don't want to hit each other at the exit of turn number 2. They didn't. It's still clean racing. And meanwhile, closer and closer comes, you can see the number 70 of Aaron Smith II looking to challenge Jesse King there for the second place in that yellow car. And King in the outside in the familiar purple machine. Will he be able to hold on to it? Or will it be Aaron Smith II taking the second place? Yes, it is going to turn number 1, and he should be clear should he just take the outside line. But it's King looking for a little bit of an over-under at the exit of the corner. He's looking to get that exit. He's sideways, but he made it. That's Formula 1 in the 80s style. Reminding me of one Keke Rosberg as he comes to the inside. Jesse King coming back on Aaron Smith II, but not quite able to get it turned at high enough speed into turn number 3, so he's going to lose some crowd. Meanwhile, Smith running up the track right towards the wall, with just inches away from the safer barrier, and he is still ahead as they are at the line. Jesse King continuing the battle. He hasn't given this up. He knows he has to take this. He knows he has to hold this, but he's unable to. And Aaron Smith, after one fine battle, one spectacular battle, he has lost the position and has also brushed the wall at turn 2, Joey. That was great.
It was a great battle there for second place, and Aaron Smith now is unleashed to see if he can go hunt down our leader, Brian McCann, as we take a hop back for this battle for 5th place right now on screen. That's 19 of, that's Walker back there, and then also the 7 of David Brown, David Brown. Remember, this was a battle for 7th place, and this number 7 car has really charged his way all the way up. And now he has overtaken what looks to be for 6th place. I've got my eye on that black and green car right now of David E. Brown. He is on a charge right now, and honestly, his last lap time of a 41.3 is the fastest car on the racetrack that I'm seeing, at least in the top 7.
He is, and I'm just going back and wondering if there was some magic done here on the pit stops, perhaps, to that car. Perhaps some brand new Goodyears, which would explain that pace. You can see him just going super fast here on the last couple of laps, and indeed the difference could only be explained by a set of new tires. I'm going back to the pit lane, and yep, he's got all 4.
Shows you how important maybe rubber will be at the end of these races if we have some late race yellows. You know, track position is always important, but look at how fast he's able to just carve up through these fields. With these other cars just don't even stand a chance on those used tires.
No, man, it's like he's in an A10 Warthog and the other people are just targets there. You can just hear the and then he goes away. David Brown out there on the 5th place, and you know what? He's 4.6 seconds behind our race leader, Brian McCann, who is in turn. I mean, it looks like Brian McCann had this in the back, but look for the late stage charge by David Brown. You got 8 laps to go in this stage, and you got him just absolutely hauling. And behind him, he's got Neil Quick, who is also hauling. Looking to the inside, don't forget about him. He's the man on a hot streak, the number 2 in his cars. 2 wins on the trot, including the most prestigious of all, the All-Star race, and he has now got his way past David Brown. I don't know if that's doable, man. 7 laps to go, 4 seconds now. It's gonna be tight.
I think that catching people and passing people are 2 different things, but you're right. Look at these 2 just carving it up through the field, and Neil Quick was kind of like Jaws back there to the Warthog. He was just kind of slowly but surely stalking, waited for his time, overtook David Brown, and he's continuing that momentum now, hunting down 4th place. That's Jesse King in that purple car directly in front. Now, last lap, he was a full 1 second faster than Jesse King. As they're going to come across the stripe one more time, we're going to get another lap time here as they come across, but you can just see him reeling in this purple car here into turn 1. Another 9/10 of a second cut out there this lap, and oh my gosh, he's taking it down to the yellow line into turn 1. Just going to drive right around this car for 4th place.
Yep, like he wasn't even turning. Jesse King gotta be going, man, What are you on? And David Brown is going to repeat the trick, and at this point it's starting to dawn on them all. 4 brand new Goodyear tires and tear effect. Neil Quick is certainly going fast out there at the latter portion of stage number 1, and he's gonna be if that car had a stereo, I know it doesn't, but if it had a stereo, it would be playing the Scarface soundtrack right now, because he's pushing it to the limit, taking the 3rd place away from Brandon Mefford, and he's only, you can see it on the left side of your screen, 2.5 seconds away. There's some lap traffic in there, yes, but he can see his targets. He's gonna get Aaron Smith the 2nd. I think we can guarantee that, as long as the overtake goes smoothly. But what's gonna happen with Brian McCann? That is the real question. But that man is on a mission right now, and something to underline really about Neil Quick's pace is that David Brown, who we were gushing over earlier on, who was really going fast and is still going fast, he's lost 6/10 to that man. So they got equal tires. They both have new tires, but Neil Quick has just been absolutely charging it on as the tires are starting to wear, as he's starting to find the limits on the age of those tires, and he's only 0.4 of a second away from Aaron Smith. With that said, Joey, the gap all the time as these laps go by, and as these tires get older and older, the gap is getting smaller and smaller between used and new tires.
Well, I think we see the strategy play worked out just fine. He's already in the top 3. He's got great track position, and really he's just going to dive right underneath the 70 of Aaron Smith II, take away the 2nd place, and there's really nothing that yellow car can do right now. Just Neil Quick is flexing his muscles. You know, he's flossing out there. Mike Jones might say that he's wood grain gripping, candy paint dripping here at Michigan. But right now, Brian McCann out there in 1st place still has a lead of about 1.5 seconds over Neil Quick. Just a few laps left here in this 1st stage. We're going to see how much tire fall off Neil has used out of those brand new tires. See if he can come up and win the stage, or if the number 3 can hang on just a few more laps.
And another thing to consider as well, as we are watching the final laps of stage number 1, and it's becoming abundantly clear that Neil Quick might not be able to catch up. We'll have to wait and see. 1.1 seconds actually. I'm not counting my chicken until they hatch here in this one, but they only have 2 fresh sets of rubber left. Neil Quick and David Brown both have used an extra set compared to everybody else, so look out for its effects later on in this race. But I don't think Neil Quick is regretting the decision at all here in this 1st stage. He's got 2 laps to go in this one as they come across the line, and the chase is on. Brian McCann, you can see him out there 8/10 away, getting caught up all the time. I'm sure he's not gonna give away those chase points easily, those stage points easily even, especially not as we are in the chase, and every single point is gonna pay premium in the hunt for that IROC Challenge Series Championship.
You mentioned Neil Quick was on his way up towards the front, but David E. Brown also just overtook for 3rd place, overtook the 70 of Aaron Smith out there. Looks like we're going to jump back up to our leader. Still out front right now is Brian McCann. He is leading the way. I think this might be 1 lap left here in this 1st stage, but Neil Quick, once again, another 3/10 taken out of that lead as they go down the back straightaway, Ozzy.
And they got traffic in front of them as well, so you have to be aware of that one. You got Jeff Napier and Joseph Funkhauser right in front of these 2, and I think Brian McCann would be absolutely screaming on the radio, get away from me. You can see Neil Quick approaching as they come towards the end of stage number 1, but it is Brian McCann who's gonna take the 1st stage here at Michigan International Speedway, ahead of Neil Quick and ahead of David Brown as well. What a charge from him.
What a charge is right. Those fresh tires definitely paid off, especially at the near the end of that stage there. Is I know that we're just waiting for, I think, the majority of the field kind of coming through here as we're still racing up front. This is Neil Quick right now, getting a nose down underneath of the number 3 car, Brian McCann. I don't see the yellow flag to end the stage yet. This is still a battle for position, Ozzy.
It absolutely is. So Neil Quick is trying to get to the line and trying to get the position away from Brian McCann. Well, we were misinformed, Ken, and that's not the first time somebody's been misinformed in the commentary booth, but here we go. Neil Quick and Brian McCann then continuing the race on, and race on Teichel. Neil Quick now taking the lead away from McCann, and suddenly that strategy call is looking even better as he's running away with those fresh Goodyear rubbers. And behind them, Aaron Smith II and David Brown ahead of him are trying to catch up to Brian McCann as well, as we are trying to get to the grips with the caution situation. But hey, they're race car drivers, so as long as the green flag is out, they will race.
Definitely, they will race out there, and that is exactly what they're doing. Neil Quick has the loud pedal down, and yes, we do have a caution on the racetrack at lap 51 currently, Ozzy.
Yep, so they did race for 50 laps instead of 48. I guess 48 was too complicated mathematics. I completely understand that. So at the end of 50 laps, we still have that caution flag out, and the stage number 1 has concluded with Neil Quick continuing where he left off, taking the win of stage number 1 and the first win of the stage win of his playoffs. Brian McCann holding on to the second place with David Brown rounding out the stage top 3. Someone I do want to mention as we are at the end of the stage, Bill Walker in that car number 19, he's gained 10 places in first stage. And how about Jamie Abreu? We saw him earlier on having a bit of difficulty. Well, he ended up gaining 11.
He did. There's a couple of big movers here, and I think right now, Ozzy, is a perfect time to take a little break while these cars are under the pace car speeds, and we will be right back.
We shall.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Welcome back to IROC Challenge Series here from Michigan International Speedway at Dearborn, Michigan. It's not quite at Dearborn, Michigan. It is, of course, near Brooklyn, Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan is where Ford is from. Too bad we are racing Chevys out there today, and we are just through with stage number 1. And what a stage we had on our hands, Joey. We saw a little bit of strategy, a little bit of drama, but crucially, only one caution. And I say only because this is as great of a racetrack it is. It's also a difficult one. We didn't really see any self-spins, any drama related to that. We saw some drivers on very old tires going through the whole 50 laps with a single set. So that's really a commendable achievement. My question is, now what? We got some drivers with 2 fresh sets left, some drivers with 2 fresh sets left, and we got some drivers with less fresh sets left, having to essentially take 1 set of fresh tires. So 1 more pit stop from here on out.
Yeah, we're going to have 1 more pit stop at least, I would say, depending on how the yellows unfold. You're right, we only had 1 yellow for a caution on the racetrack, and that was pretty early on with 2 cars that kind of got into it and had some damage early on. But give a shout out to all of these drivers and the sportsmanship and the racing that they're showing out there. They're leaving each other room. There was a little bit of door banging earlier on, but I'm still seeing about 22 cars out there on the racetrack, and they're providing some great action for us tonight, Ozzy.
They absolutely are, and we hope to cover it to you as best as we can. I'm Ossian Pakka here with Joey Atterbury, and we are, of course, getting ready with stage number 2. Neil Quick out there on the pole position. He is gonna get away alongside David Brown, the tire heroes of the first stint, just waiting for the green flag to drop. And here we go! Stage number 2, and you can see Aaron Smith already taking it 3 wider. Just briefly in your pictures, yep, here he is on the outside line trying to challenge Brandon Mefford for that 3rd place. Not quite able to pull it off, so has to drop back. Kevin McCann there coming back from the high line. 2 wide behind them, still squeezing into a tight cap is Chris Mefford there, further back in your pictures. So you can see him there in the black and red car, just making it away ever so briefly. But they are returning the racing, and they are looking for those positions. Brian McCann now out there on the lead. And my real question is, as he's leading, as he is where he should be, I'm wondering, okay, first of all, how will his pace be? And secondly, both Neil Quick and David Brown dropping like a rock. I think they went for the alternate strategy of not taking any tires at all on the last stage break, and that's certainly curious. I wonder how it will work out for them.
You're right, Ozzy. I was watching David Brown there on the restart, and he just got swamped by everybody behind him. And you're right, Neil Quick is in the same boat out there. Both the number 2 and the number 7 are kind of falling through the field right now, as everybody else now has those fresh tires and is kind of licking their chops at those cars that drove around them earlier. But still out front right now, that's the number 3 of Brian McCann leading the way over the 83 of Brandon Mefford, as we see these top 2 are kind of breaking it away between that and the number 70 of Aaron Smith, the second back there in 3rd place. That is the number 3, the blue and yellow right now leading the pack, but in the draft right there, that's the 83 closing it up down the back straightaway as they dive down into turn 3. These fresh tires are allowing them to run a little bit lower on the racetrack than what we saw when they got a little bit higher once the tire wear came in, but a 3-car pack back there for 3rd place, but the battle rages on for the lead.
It absolutely is, Joey, and you know what, those guys, you said they're in the same boat. Well, that boat is about to get converted into a submarine at this rate. They are sinking further and further down in the standings. Meanwhile, here in the lead, Brian McCann was able to hold on to it. But what does Brandon Mefford do now? He's been on an absolute tear here in this race, starting off from the 2nd place and looking to take the lead away from Brian, away from the driver who has been the fastest so far. Certainly, this is going to be a duel to watch for the next couple of laps, as he's looking to the inside, not quite going to the apron is Mefford. Then looking to follow the line of Brian McCann, taking from the high entry, but you can see McCann taking the middle line, Mefford approaching from high to low, taking a more aggressive entry. That's gonna be wearing down his tires, absolutely using everything of those rears in the exit of the corner, but it's looking to work out. He's looking to the inside, can deciding against it. Not quite going for that move yet, not diving to the inside, but making sure that Brian McCann knows that he's there, and he knows that there's gonna be constant pressure. I think Mefford's gonna be chasing him on and on and on up until the next pit stops.
I think you're right, but something I'm noticing as these two, I don't think they're working together, but maybe the 83 is being a little bit passive. maybe fuel saving just a touch, but that has brought in the number 70 of Aaron Smith II, the number 33 of Kevin McCann, and the number 25 of Jesse King, all kind of converging now onto this lead battle, make it 5 cars up front. And really, if we get the number 3 or 83 making a mistake, any 3 of these cars can become your new leader.
Absolutely. So especially if they make a mistake, and especially if there's contact, that's always a risk. When we talk about oval racing, we talk about close battles, and we talk about the speeds involved here at Michigan International as Mefford looks to the outside of Brian McCann at the exit of turn number 2. It's going to be tight. It's going to be close. Oh, and just able to squeeze to the outside is Brandon Mefford, looking to take that line away from Brian McCann. Let's see if the 83 can indeed pull it off. Here they are side by side on board with Mefford. We can see the number 3 on his inside, squeezing ever closer, having to leave that racing space. You always have to leave a space, as a wise man once said, and still they are side by side battling for that lead. And don't forget, we can't see him, but behind him, here is Aaron Smith II, just chasing these two, looking to pounce on any and every opportunity that these two will leave. And as they are racing side by side, Joey, they're using their tires more. They're using less of the racetrack, essentially. They're going to be a little bit slower, but it is Brandon Mefford able to take away that lead after a great battle. But you know what? I don't think they're working together at all. The way Brian McCann fought back, the way he was trying to claw and hold on to the lead, it certainly spoke of a driver who's scared to fight.
I think that the number 3 has shown that all he wants to do is lead the race tonight. Whenever he's up front, he's always poking that nose, trying to lead this front pack. But that battle between Mefford and McCann has now really condensed these top 5 as we get all 5 cars in one shot here going down the back straightaway. Over 190 miles an hour going into turn 3 as we really see the number 3 car sail it off down into turn 3. Riding along board here with Jesse King. This is the fifth place car in this train getting a big draft. And what I'm also seeing, Ozzy, is maybe this car of the 33's got a little bit of right rear damage in front of him, and that might be affecting his top speed a little bit.
Absolutely, Kevin McCann, they're taking a little bit of contact earlier on in this race, and as a result of that, might not be at 100%. Obviously, not enough contact that it would be repaired on the pit lane, because you can stay there, you can have your mechanics work with it, with their fine adjustment sledgehammers, as we call it, you know, real fine adjustment tools, as they use out here on the NASCAR. And obviously Kevin electing against losing all the track position in an effort to repair it. So there is damage, but it's not deemed severe enough to repair, at least not quite yet.
As we are currently watching the closest battles on the racetrack right now, I'm really impressed that this group of 5 is able to stay together, all running kind of different lanes through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I think they're just kind of searching for that clean air like we mentioned earlier, Ozzy, and it's all about finding that grip onto the front end of the race car, because if you get tucked up behind somebody, you really get that understeer where the front end just doesn't want to turn, and you need the car to turn in order to keep the speed off of the corner as we see the momentum carry them down the straightaways, which is the most important part here on the racetrack.
It absolutely is, and it can be surprisingly difficult because it's a D-shaped oval. So in used tires, even the front straight can be a little bit hairy come later portions of that stint. We're on board with Jesse King in that car, in that number 25 machine, the man from Texas. What can he do? I think he is quite cozy there on the 5th place right now, but that's gonna change pretty soon if one of Aaron Smith or Kevin McCann fails to follow the leading duo in a fashion he would like. But at this point in time, he can maybe afford to save up a little bit, as we are seeing Mike Koch and Kyle Pendergraft battling out there for 12th place. And it is Mike Koch who is leading that battle. So far, so good for the 00 car. Let's see how his recovery drive can continue. Mind you, earlier on involved in trouble in this race after starting from 8th place, now back in 12th position, looking to gain some more points.
And we're also seeing Neil Quick continue to kind of fall back through the field. He's down to 10th place right now. I think that was Jamie Abril that just was able to get around the number 2 car, but he is out there racing right now. As looks like we've got Chris Mefford down on pit road. I think this is another strategy call, Ozzy, and we're going to see where this is going to shuffle him out onto the racetrack once he gets back out there.
Yeah, that's a very interesting call though, because he was in 6th place in this race before going to the pit lane. He was trying to chase down the leading pack, trying, but not quite able to pull it off. And here he is now making a bit of a strategy call, just taking on some more fuel, trying to do what Aaron Smith II did on the first stint. And we also have the leaders coming into the pit lane at this moment in time after just 18 laps.
Yeah, well, one thing that I want to bring up is...
leaders. Sorry.
The second stage here is a little bit shorter than the first stage, if I remember. Not by a lot, but a little bit. So maybe we're seeing these competitors come down just those few laps earlier to split the stage in half like we saw here in the first one. But I'm going to be interested to see what Aaron Smith II does out there. Remember, he was the one who went off strategy in the first stage, and then also Neil Quick and David Brown also went off strategy with the tires, as Neil does a big lockup as he tries to get it slowed down to pit road. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty there, but oh my gosh, that was sideways on entry.
Yeah, that was very sideways for Aaron Smith II. And I indeed hope he doesn't get a penalty, as he's absolutely neck on neck there with Brandon Mefford, the man who was leading this race earlier on. And Mefford actually misses his pit stall. Just a little bit, it's not much, but it's gonna cost him about a second. And that's enough for Aaron Smith to get ahead.
You're right, it's those little mistakes that can totally get you. And the 83 just slid a little bit too far through his pit stall, had to back it up a little bit, and now look at that. You're seeing that gap convert to track position on the racetrack, and we're seeing Aaron Smith just run away as he was following that car coming in.
Yes, but it is Brian McCann who has resumed his rightful place in the lead, with Kevin McCann, his brother, giving him some well-deserved support. So it was Kevin McCann with that earlier stop was actually able to leapfrog Aaron Smith II and Brandon Mefford out there on the pit lane. So that's gonna be very, very interesting. And you know what? The 3 and the 33, they're looking like a 22 and 33, like the Sedin brothers, the Sedin twins of Vancouver Canucks back in the hockey. They're absolutely working together in perfect harmony, just as we've seen so many times before.
That's a lot of 3s on your screen right now for car numbers as we're watching the...
It's a forest!
The McCanns really battle it out for 7th place right now. I wonder if we're going to see a little bit of family working together, or if this is going to be a battle, because remember, the number 3 car has done nothing but want to lead this pack all night, and I don't think he wants to be back there in, what is the 7th place right now? He wants to get back up. I know the pit stop cycles are going to shuffle everything back, but I think this is going to be a battle for the front once all the cycles come to an end.
Absolutely, and here out there on the front you can see Jesse King from Texas still leading his way here in stage number 2. We are expecting the second caution at around lap number 90, so that's gonna be when the caution is gonna come out at the latest, because that's the end of stage number 2. Now Jesse King, we know he can't really make 40 laps with a single tank of fuel, but I wonder how long can he go on. Right now we're at lap number 73, and I'm surprised really, Joey, that we maybe didn't see more takers for the tires here at the midway through the second stint, because if you're going to be pitting early, might as well pit early for the tires.
Yeah, you know, I'm looking at the lap times out here, and I think that tire strategy, maybe Neil Quick is on some new tires, as he's about a second and a half faster than anybody else on the racetrack right now. Once again, that number 2 going to be kind of blasting his way up through the fields. But you're right, Jesse King at a 41.4, and then go back to Brian McCann in the number 3 at a 41.2. So not much of a lap time difference between the cars that haven't pitted and the cars that have just taken fuel. But as we see, look at this number 2 car, Ozzy, with those fresh tires just carving it up out there again.
He is, but I'm curious how come he's ended a lap down with those new tires. He wasn't that far down after all. Yeah, his pit stop was a little bit longer, but I think there might have been some other shenanigans we may or may not have missed. Regardless, Neil Quick is now in 12th place. He started this stint with the older tires, mind you, but right now he does have the advantage as we move later on in the stint, and he's gonna make it on fuel towards the end of stage number 2 as the caution is out.
Yeah, looks like we got David Trumbley around on the back straight, Ozzy, as we got a clip of another car entering pit lane with some heavy damage as well, but take a look at what happened to this number 96, this orange car on your screen. This was down the back straightaway as it looks like they're too wide coming out of turn 2. Ooh, maybe a little bit of misjudgment, maybe a little bit of frustrations being taken out there, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I have to be very, very careful on how I word it, as we are on the board with David Trumbley there alongside team number 40 of Jeff Napier. Napier just, I don't know, man. It just looked like he misjudged the situation maybe a little bit on the exit of that corner, you know, coming to the inside and maybe losing it a little bit. I would be really curious to see that from Napier's on board as to what just happened there. You know, maybe he was a little bit loose on the corner exit.
Yeah, the number 40 of Jeff Napier there was the other car that was involved with that David Trumbley car, and I think we'll get another shot here as the cars really exit turn 2. It looked like Trumbley was just down on the inside line, kind of minding his own business. And then as he got by Napier, it just looked like, you're right, Ozzy, maybe just a little bit of misjudgment as he might have been trying to tuck in and draft behind that David Trumbley car, but unfortunately ended up making contact with the right rear, which really damaged his car pretty significantly.
Yeah, we unfortunately didn't get that replay for you, but you're right, that's a pretty... that's the kind of assessment of the situation that we can safely make at this point, because any other kind of assessment would obviously have to involve something much more blatant. Regardless, Bill Walker there on the focus of the pictures, 12-second pit stop, I think. He is out there with some new tires, and we will have to keep an eye on how he will proceed here on the latter portion of stage number 2, of which we do have 13 laps left. And it's gonna be a doozy, I'll tell you what. Bill Walker was in the 2nd place, mind you, heading to the pit stop cycle, shown as the 2nd place, but he didn't actually take new tires. Pardon me, just had a longer stop.
Yeah, a little bit of a longer stop, and one thing that's interesting to note, Ozzy, is that leader Jesse King had actually put a lap on quite a few cars out there, so when this caution flag flew, not everybody came down to pit road, but some of those leaders definitely had to, but Jesse King only now falls back to what I'm seeing is 6th place on track, so really the caution working out in his favor when he stretched that first stint, really used up all of his tires, but now finds himself still in that lead battle, conveniently working out for him out there.
Yeah, it's sort of a blessing in disguise, but really you also wanted to maybe you know, have some more cars lapped down. It's a bit of a longer track, so it wasn't ideal for Jesse King, but it was a good situation. He was in that top 5 battle, now he's in 6th place. It's alright, it turned out pretty good for him, I would say. The one man who really got the fortune in his favor in this whole cycle, Kevin McCann. Following what his brother did, Brian McCann, he pitted early, and as a result of that, he's right now sitting in the 2nd place after being a little bit further down earlier on in this race, starting from 9th, mind you. That's further back than we used to seeing Kevin McCann in. We'll have to wait and see how the brothers do here, as we have 12 to go on stage number 2, Joey.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get a driver's eye perspective of really this restart here. You mentioned it, only about 12 laps to go here in this stage. I think we're going to have a little bit more aggression, but we got the McCann brothers going to lead this field down to the green flag as we got the pace car diving down pit road here. Going to be interesting to see the aggression level out of really these front 6 cars that have run up there all night together.
Little bit of a wheel spin there from Kevin McCann here on the start, potentially allowing the number 70 of Aaron Smith II to get a run on him, splitting the brothers, and indeed that's what he does heading into turn number 1, but Kevin still got the outside line for him. It has worked wonders earlier on, and can't get a good exit is Aaron Smith, and as a result of that, it is Kevin McCann who is gonna retake this second place. Further back behind them, it is the Meffords, Brandon Mefford, Chris Mefford. Chris Mefford here on the inside, taking the 4th place away from his brother Brandon. And Brandon's looking to make the over-under, however, getting a little bit loose and a little bit wiggly, exiting turn number 4, and as a result, has to fall back. So it is McCann, Smith, Mefford, and Mefford here on the top 5, with Jesse King following in 6th place.
Yeah, hold your breath because Jesse King back there in 6th place is on a charge as well. But right now in 3rd place, we might have a little bit of a poke to the inside from the 46 of Chris Mefford here as they're going down the back straightaway. He's really tucked up behind the number 70 of Aaron Smith II. That's the yellow car that we can just barely see up there. I love these onboard shots because it shows you how limited the visibility really is out of these cars. Once they start getting stacked up and drafting, these cars are literally on top of each other, but you can only see the car that's directly in front of you. It really makes where you put your own car on the track a kind of a chess game in where your momentum is going to be. It looks like the 23 of Cook Quick is really making his way through the field right now.
Yeah, you tell me that. I think he's got some brand new rubbers there, because I was just looking at the onboard and I was looking, who was that going absolutely bananas there on the inside, and this Cool Quick. And this is one of the best sensations that you can have in racing. Brand new tires against a field of old tires, and you're just gonna have an absolute field day. Cool Quick, the man from Illinois, enjoying his time turn, saying, you know what, I'm here too, looking to make it 3 wide to the inside, and it's gonna be Kevin McCann wondering just what is going on in here, what is Cook doing? Unfortunately having to lift off just a little bit, and that's gonna allow Chris Mefford going inside of Aaron Smith there, 3 wide further in the back. Cook Quick on the middle now, as we have the number 2 of Neil Quick, some brother-on-brother action there. Neil now looking to make it to the inside, maybe following the Neil Quick strategy we've seen working out so well earlier on. And it's pandemonium at Michigan here. We got 8 to go on stage number 2, and just about anything can happen here as Neil Quick just sends it to the inside, just absolutely going for it and passing 2 cars. And on the inside of Kevin McCann now, he's got just the McCann brothers to go. And you know what? We had 2 sets of brothers here in the top 7. We had the McCanns and we had Meffords. Now we have the Quicks as well.
Yeah, definitely really great racing going on the racetrack right now. We got a mix of used tires compared to new tires. The number 2 out there is on some fresh tires as he takes the battle up to the lead of the number 3 car. Also keep an eye on that blue car with the red wheels, the number 23. He also has some fresh tires as he's trying to work his way through this pack, but once again, a great job racing by all of these competitors out there. It's not easy to judge the speed and the grip differences when you have such various levels of speed on those tires. And Aaron Smith now back there in the number 70, kind of licking his chops. But the things have started to kind of maybe level themselves out a little bit, but we still got 2 wide racing right now. Neil Quick out there. Looks like he's going to go by a lapped car. That's the number 51 of Chris Wally that he's trying to get by right now. But 3rd place still side by side for Cook Quick and Kevin McCann.
Yep, and they are fighting it all right. We were momentarily side by side for the lead as well. Chris Wally out there as a lapped car. getting a little bit involved in that one, as we see Quick on the inside, looking to get that momentum, racing alongside Brian McCann, but McCann is doing great work there on the outside, holding on to his position to the best of his ability until it was eventually Quick with those fresher tires able to make the pass work. And here comes Kevin McCann as well alongside his brother. They got Chris Mefford behind them, Aaron Smith II and Brandon Mefford. They are continuing their own race. It is not over yet, despite the fresh tire runners taking on the lead for now. They're still side by side for place number 3, what has now become place number 3. Kevin McCann getting mighty loose on the inside line, having to fall in line. Here comes Chris in that number 46. Mefford looking to the inside of Kevin McCann. Can he pull it off into 3? Bit of contact between the two. Kevin McCann maybe a little bit too eager going to that inside line, and he's gonna lose position. He's gonna lose it to Chris, he's gonna lose it to Aaron Smith, he's gonna lose it to his brother Brandon Mefford as well. And Kevin McCann going all the way from place number 4 to place number 7, and he's gonna be one unhappy camper as a result of that ride.
I gotta tell you, Ozzy, Aaron Smith out there is kind of like the lone wrestler in the tag team match of Quick, McCann, Mefford, and Mefford out there. He is the only solo battling it out with everybody that's kind of got a teammate right now, but this has been outstanding racing. We only got, I think, 3 laps to go here to end this stage 2.
Yes, and normally at the triple threat match you got out 33 1/3 chance of winning, but I think right now the Quicks got fresh tires and the rules don't apply, so they got 50% chance of winning this stage. And then there is somebody who knows that they can't beat each other, and so on and so forth. Regardless, we should go back to the racing instead of wrestling references, because McCann and Mefford are out there, and that's Kevin McCann and Brandon Mefford fighting for the 6th place. Got great battle going on between these two. In front of them as well, don't forget about Aaron Smith II and Chris Mefford here, almost side by side as well. And just this great pack of racing, and they have separated themselves away from everybody else, including Jesse King, who has now dropped a full second, a little bit over that, back from these fighters. But it is Neil Quick out there on the lead as we are coming to the last lap, what we think is last lap of stage number 2, just working his way through some lap traffic. And once again, those fresh tires in the middle of the stage, he's gonna get some stage points, and that might work wonders.
Yeah, definitely going to pay off with the stage points. I'm pretty impressed with this 51 car right now, who's not on the lead lap, but he's trying to keep his track position in front of our number 2 car, the leader. But on screen, that's the number 3 car of McCann, taking the high side around the 23 of Quick. That is a change for position. Promote Brian McCann back up to the 2nd place, going around the number 23. As we jump back, I think this is the number 83 right now of Brandon Mefford, battling it out with his brother Chris Mefford as they go side by side into turn 3 again. I think this is the last time all these cars are going to exit turn 4. We should have the stage break coming up, and yes, there it is, yellow on the racetrack.
Wow, Neil Quick, and 10 in the 2nd place Brian McCann, and in 3rd place Quick at the end of stage number 2. Right, we are gonna head to a quick break here at Global SimRacing Channel. When we return, it's the 3rd and final stage of the 1st round of IROC Challenge Series playoffs. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back soon.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. Welcome back to IROC Challenge Series. We are getting ready to start the last stage of the first round of the playoffs. And boy, Joey Atterbury here with me. I'm Ossi Puhakka, and tell you what, it has been an absolute doozy. Stage 2, it woke me right up. It's 5 a.m. here in Finland. It's a little bit less than that here on the Pacific coast of the United States where you are, but man, those 4 shots of espresso that you took before the race, not necessary.
No, they are not necessary. All of these competitors on the racetrack are putting on one heck of a show for us to watch here tonight, and I'm really thrilled with the action, and we actually have a little bit of a strategy play again. Cook Quick out there, I don't think he went to pit lane. The other thing that I was noticing, Ozzy, is during these pit stops, the 83 once again overshot his pit box, which is going to cost him time on the racetrack in comparison to everybody else that stopped. Is going to shuffle him down a little bit further through the order. It didn't hurt him too much, but definitely a spot or two out there on the racetrack, and going to have to make that back up the hard way.
Absolutely, we'll have to, and we'll have to wait and see how long Cook Quick can hold on to that lead with the old tires. I'm going to go ahead and say about 5 meters from the green flag dropping.
You know, we saw David Brown and Neil Quick drop like a rock there with old tires, and I think you're right.
Yep, and let's see who will give him the people's elbow as we are getting ready to start stage number 3 there. Cook Quick, Brian McCann, Aaron Smith the second, Neil Quick. That's your top 4 as they are running the green flag drops. And you know what? Cook Quick is able to hold on to his lead at the restart so far. He's accelerating away with those older tires. But here comes Brian McCann on the outside, looking to take the long way around. And that's bye-bye, Cook. See you next time around, because he's dropping and he's dropping and he's dropping further back, as we kind of expected.
Yeah, I'm watching him right now. Not only is he in 3rd place, 4th place, 5th place, now all the way back to 6th place as even the number 2 car of Neil Quick gets by the 23 of Cook Quick out there. Remember, this car was the car that started this restart, and now we come around to finish the first lap of this, and it just goes to show you, Ozzy, look at how much tires are worth out there.
Absolutely, and it's gonna be a sweet thing to be with new tires right now, but I can't help but wonder just about the Quick strategy and whether they are going to split this stage 2, whether they're gonna be the drivers with some brand spanking new sets of rubber. They should still have one set left according to my calculations. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens towards the end of this thing. Mind you, this is the shortest stage, as we are watching on board Jamie Abrell, the car number 20, trying to get past Cool Quick, and will do on the inside, getting past the number 23. Meanwhile, out there on the second place, Aaron Smith the second and Kevin McCann, they're continuing their battle, but it's still Brian McCann who is running away from just about everybody early on in the stint, as we have seen before, and it's Kevin running rear gunner for his brother, trying to disrupt the rhythm of Aaron Smith II, successfully doing so, taking that second place away right now, and they are in the positions they want to be in. But watch out for this man, Brandon Mefford. We've seen his pace before, Joey. Where would he be had he not screwed up those pit stops? He's gotta have to wonder, just could he be where Brian McCann is right now? Regardless, what's done is done. If cows had wheels, they would be milk trucks, and if Brandon Mefford had better pit stops, maybe he'd be the leader. Right now, he's doing the chasing.
Yeah, well, Brandon Mefford might be back there in third place, but he is driving like a man on a mission. We're checking out the battle for 8th and 9th right now. Jamie Abrell and Brandon Leclerc on your screen as we get too wide going down into turn 3. Remember, these cars are doing 190 miles an hour as we get a big slide up the racetrack coming out of 4. He is going to overtake that position as Ozzy. It's a little bit busier further back in this field, but one thing that I wanted to point out, I think fastest car on the racetrack right now, Bill Walker back there in the 7th place. That's the number 19 car on the racetrack. I think that's the first time that I've really mentioned him tonight, and he's on a move.
He is Walker Carolina Ranger there out in 7th place. He started 18th, mind you, and he had been near the front a couple of times earlier on. I remember looking at him, I remember seeing him, but he is one of those drivers. As a matter of fact, I have to double check this. He is not even in the chase, so he could really disrupt things right now on the 7th place, as we are seeing the leading trio get closer and closer once again. Brian McCann with his great start. Then he is entering the tire conservation phase, and it's the calm before the storm, as we are 9 laps through soon enough here on the final stage of this one. And Brian McCann, Kevin McCann, and Brandon Mefford, that is your leading trio, with Aaron Smith II and Mike Hawk dropping a little bit back. Tell you what, Neil Wick is only 2 seconds back from his, the race leader, Brian McCann. I say only because if his strategy is what we expect, it turn out to be an absolute masterstroke.
I think, I want to go back and see if the Quick Brothers split their strategy in terms of tires on that last stop, but right now, up front, Brandon Mefford, we're riding along here with the number 83 car. Like I said, he's kind of driving like a man possessed after missing that pit stall a little bit on that yellow flag. And we got a battle for the lead right now. Kevin McCann is going to really dive it down too wide on our leader, the number 3 cars. We got a battle going into turn 1 right now. The 83, Brandon Mefford's just sitting back there kind of licking his chops as these cars go too wide on lap 101 here at Michigan.
They are, and Brian McCann able to hold on to the lead, but it's Kevin McCann trying to challenge him. And you know what? He's not any worse than his brother, and he wants to say that too. I want to win this race. Why should you be the one taking all the glory? Brandon Mefford, meanwhile, I think he's the one who is really hungry here. We talked about his pace out there at Michigan. We talked about how he has not yet won a race this season. He doesn't have those bonus points. He started second, and all throughout this one, he's been right there in the mix for the lead of this race. So what can Brandon do? Can he follow these two battling, or could he perhaps save just a little bit of tire right now? Just trying to see where his fuel will take him at this point in time, and then wait and hold on and attack right at the end. So Brian McCann, Kevin McCann, Brandon Mefford here. That is the trio. Everybody else, Aaron Smith II, Mike Cox, they have dropped back at this moment in time. As I believe, Joey, you might have some news regarding the driver of car number 2.
Yeah, looks like Neil actually did take tires on that stage 2 yellow flag, so he's actually thrown his own self a curveball, varying it up between this stage 3 and stage 1 and 2, and I think that's why we're seeing the number 2 car really keep in touch. He's currently running in the 6th place right now. That's David Brown directly behind him, but that car is actually not on the lead lap. The number 2 car out there is just kind of doing laps, trying to get back up to this front 5, but really it is a breakaway of these top 3 for the race win currently, Ozzy, and you're right. We've had a lot of players up front, but the one that I'm seeing is consistent is that number 3 car. Is once again, Jamie Abril is trying to make his way up through the field as this is a battle for 8th place on screen.
Yeah, Jamie Abril, Brandon Leclerc fighting it out. Cars number 20 and 21. Let's see how Brandon Leclerc will do there. And just looking to the outside, taking that ultra high line, is Brandon Leclerc almost to the wall, not quite able to pull it off. But that's a very interesting line. At this moment in time, Joey, it's really, the track is starting to wear down. You got these marbles on outside the racing line. You got different temps all around the track, so they're trying to experiment with new lines, and if they're able to find a line they can run confidently, that will play dividends as we return to spectating the leading duo. And I say duo, Brandon Mefford has now dropped back a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit is kind of a relative term. I think he's only about 4/10 off of these front 2 right now, so he is still very much in the draft. And we mentioned it earlier, a little bit of contact or even a mistake out of either of these McCann brothers out front can just instantly suck that 83 back up into this lead battle. As it looks like the number 3 and the 33 have been pretty dominant tonight. We've seen the number 3 continuing to just lay down laps out front. And you're right, Ozzy, I think this Brandon Mefford car might be struggling for pace just a touch, but something else, these laps are starting to wind down. We're under 15 to go.
Yep, and meanwhile behind them you got Aaron Smith, the second, Mike Koch, and Neil Quick involved in this bit of a trio. And they're just trying to really figure each other out, trying to find out what to do here and what will be their relative order. Something else I'm thinking of fuel. This last stage, it's 30 laps where you're running like 3 or 4 laps under caution. We saw earlier on the first pit stops coming in at around lap 25, 26. So you really only have to say 1 or 2 laps.
You know, that's a great point that you bring up. And a little bit of fuel strategy save. Maybe some of these cars are going to run out. It'll be really interesting as we watch the laps kind of count down here. But another player here in this battle for 9th, 10th, 11th place is Jesse King, that silver and purple car on your screen. He's kind of leading the way over the number 20 of Jamie Abril and the number 21 of Brandon Leclerc. Also, that's Kyle Pendergraft, I believe, that's right there into that back of the battle. And I'm sorry, that is a lapped car back there, but great 2-wide action going on. This is the best battle on the racetrack, Ozzy.
It is indeed. Brandon Leclerc now down to 11th place in that 21 machine. You might be wondering, what is Jesse King doing all the way back here? Wasn't he in the lead battle? And he was. He's now in 9th place. Sure, he's leading this battle as we're watching them side by side. Abril and Leclerc, with Abril able to hold on to the 10th place. Well, Jesse King, he has a bit of damage I'm seeing. Earlier on, I was watching the pictures. Bit of damage on the front right of his car, and as a result of that, his pace is not quite where it was before. These walls at Michigan, it may be a wide racetrack, but they come awfully close. And you know, Joey, as a race car driver, as a former one myself, I hate when the walls get close on you. You know, they shouldn't be moving, but sometimes you swear they just moved a little bit closer.
You know, they have a tricky tendency to do that just when you overstep that line, don't they? You know, but
yeah,
it's just the kind of the characteristics that they have out there, and they're always looking to grab you. You got to be careful, but I'm noticing Brandon Mefford right now has lost touch, like you were saying, Ozzy, with that lead battle of the McCann brothers. I'm really seeing him search around the racetrack to try to find a different groove that might help him work, but he's just struggling to keep pace right now, and he's just watching the number 3 and the number 33 drive off into the sunset.
He is, and now that he's lost that draft, the all-important draft, that means fuel saving potentially is going to be even more difficult than it was before. So if he has to lift and coast, and I was watching earlier on board, he wasn't really sounding like he was lift and coasting too much. So, and we can actually make that assessment here as well. Let's listen as he comes into turn number 3. No, not really. No, I mean, he's just slowing down as you're supposed to slow down, lifting off the throttle in order to turn into the corner, then getting on the throttle nice and early. So Brandon Mefford definitely not saving fuel here, not making the effort to try and make it to the end. We'll have to wait and see what the fuel situation really is. Can they stretch it without saving? Regardless, right now, it looks that it is between the McCanns for the first win of the playoffs, but mind you, we still have great battles that are looking to close up between the leading duo and between those 8, 9, 10, 11 places. So we could still see a caution as well. And you know what? Overtime, somebody decided to come to the pit lane for some fresh tires. That could throw a wrench and a hatchet and a downright dump truck into the works.
You're right, a yellow flag could change this entire race's complexion. Something that I want to point out here, you mentioned fuel saving. Our front 2 cars are pretty much running identical 41.4s, and then third, fourth are running a pretty similar pace at a mid 41. But if we go back to 5th place, Neil Quick is doing mid 42s. Mike Cook in the number 00 is also running 42s, and Bill Walker back there in 8th place is also running high 42s. I'm not sure if this is a little bit of fuel saving. We're getting down now to 8 to go. These fuel numbers are starting to become very real on the dash pages for these guys, and I think we might see a few that are in a little bit more trouble or planning a little bit more ahead than the rest.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of both. You know, some people could be maybe in trouble with their tires, not quite able to live with the pace that the McCanns are setting, that Brandon Mefford, even if he's dropped back, is setting. Because you look at 4th, 5th, and 6th, you'll see Aaron Smith II, a great driver, 2 wins this season, 4 poles this season, 6 seconds back on the leaders after just essentially 20 laps of green flag racing. That is incredible. Just to see how far he's dropped back, really. I mean, sure, he's still out there, thereabouts, fighting it out as he is getting to the lapped car of, I think that's the person we talked about earlier on, David Brown in the number 7.
And Ozzy, I want to point out, too, that Aaron Smith is behind a lapped car, but something that's allowing him to do is fuel save if he needs to. So that's not such a bad strategy call from his perspective if that needs to be done.
Absolutely so, absolutely so. 6 to go, and I think if they would need to pit, they would have already done so. Or maybe they're trying to stretch it all the way to the end. We'll have to wait and see. Mike Koch here from Virginia's. He is right behind Neil Quick. We are 3 tenths away from a top 5 for Mike, and that would get his playoffs started in a great fashion. Mike Koch with 4 top 5s this season. He's got 6 top 10s this season. He doesn't have any bonus points, but he's in the playoffs, as is everybody else. You can see Bill Walker in the number 19. We mentioned him earlier on. He was out there, high up there, doing some pretty good lap times. Now he's dropping back all the way to 11th place, and he's the penultimate car on the lead lap. And is he looking maybe to the pit lane?
Yeah, he's got a big lift and coast out of the 19 here. I think that he's actually coming to pit lane. This is going to be the first car on the racetrack coming to pit lane for fuel. I wonder if this is going to be the dominoes that's going to set everybody else. I'm sorry, the 00 of Mike Cook out there in front of him on pit lane, I think this is going to set off everybody on the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have to wait and see what the leaders do, what the McCanns do. Can they hold on? Brian McCann is looking to get away from Kevin McCann, but do they still have to pit? Oh, they're coming to the pit lane. They are coming to the pit lane from the lead. Brian McCann, Kevin McCann. We'll have to see. Brandon Mefford has to follow through. Aaron Smith II doesn't follow through. So he is now the race leader. Can he hold on to it? With 3 laps to go, it's gonna be a nip and tuck. But if he saves fuel, we talked earlier, Joey. And he is absolutely clutching there in the middle of the corners. He's letting it roll. He's not using any of those RPMs. And that could be a master stroke. We wondered, why has he fallen so far back? Now we know.
Yeah, he's still using the clutch. The other one that I want to look at is the number 2 of Neil Quick. He's on this similar strategy. He was able to save a little bit of fuel, but these drivers right now are in maximum fuel conservation mode. I'm watching our leader. He's doing 185 miles an hour. It looks like he's doing pretty good clip down into turn 1, but he is hard on the clutch as he coasts through the corner in full maximum fuel conservation. And same thing out of the number 2 car of Neil Quick right now. These are your 2 new players.
Yep, you got Aaron Smith II, Neil Quick, Chris Mefford, and it's Jamie Abrell, who has to come to the pit lane. He was looking to play hero. He was all the way from 21st place to 4th, but he has to come to the pit lane. It's white flag for our race leader, Aaron Smith II. The question is, does he have enough fuel? Just 2 miles of this Michigan International Speedway to go.
I think that he's got enough fuel at least for a top 3 place right now. I'm only seeing 3 cars on this lead strategy. 4th place is a full 21 seconds back right now. Aaron Smith II pulling out the cars. Oh no, it looks like he's out of fuel on the back straight, Ozzy.
Yeah, he's wiggling. Oh, there goes the engine. Oh no, he's clutching. He might be clutching. Yeah, he tries to get the last of it, but it's sputtering a little bit. Just accelerating away from the last corner, trying to use every single bit of that fuel he's got left, and he's there at the line. Aaron Smith takes it at Michigan International Speedway. He's pulled off the fuel strat. He's pulled off the Danica Patrick, and he is winning ahead of Neil Quick in the 2nd place, and Chris Mefford rounding out your top 3. Wow, if you are the McCanns coming to the finish line right now, you have to wonder, how did we not get to the bottom of this?
You know, I was watching those cars and we saw just a few of them start to drop their lap time as Tony Benfield is out of gas as he crosses the line. Looks like he's going to bring it home in 7th place. Still worked out for him. There's Jesse King there finishing in 9th place in that silver and purple car. Mike Cook there in the 00, also bringing it home in 8th. But mentioned those couple of cars start to fuel save, and here they are taking home the top 3 spots, Ozzy.
Yep, I wonder if Aaron has donut fuel. That's the important thing. Does he have donut fuel? I have to see this before we go to the break. Yep, there we go. At least for a single donut. Come on. Go to the Arnold's. Give me a couple. There we go. Dunkin' Toast Donuts and to the line. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are heading to the break. Afterwards, we will have your post-race interviews as well as the freshest comments from our race winners. Stay tuned.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
All right, welcome back to Michigan International Speedway into the post-race coverage of IROC Challenge Series, first round of the playoffs, and it was full of drama. It was great racing, great strategy, and in the end, a race-winning drive from Aaron Smith II, who was able to save fuel. He was able to bring it home in the victory lane, that number 70 machine taking the first win of the playoffs ahead of Neil Wick in car number 2. Chris Mefford, 46, rounding off top 3, and Brian McCann, Kevin McCann, the two brothers who were leading most of this race, especially Brian, ending up 4th and 5th. They cannot be happy right now. Brandon Mefford, not happy either. His pit stops were questionable, even if he had the pace today, ending up in 6th position ahead of number 75, Stony Benfield, who was rolling that Chevy across the start-finish line. He may not be a playoff driver, but he was a bit of a hero as he got a salute, standing salute from the crowd, and full of applause, bringing that 75 home in 7th. Mike Cox in 8th place, Jesse King in 9th, and it was Chen Yebro in that number 20, one lap down, rounding out the top 10.
And then in 11th place, Chris Wally followed up with Bill Walker, Brandon LeClaire, Kyle Pendergraft, and Cook Quick back there in the top 15. You remember that number 23 car actually led a few laps and then kind of fell off there at the end of the race there. 16th, David Brown. 17th, Jeff Napier. Followed up with Josh Funkhauser, David Tremblay, and James Kaufman in your top 20.
Yep, and a couple of more drivers to go through. All of them sadly retired from this event. Ryan Rick, Down Bellinger, Brian Kaufman, Hunter Clark, and Tim Schofield. 25 driver field, of which 20 of them finished. And right now, it is time for us to head to the post-race interviews. And I believe we have our race winner, Aaron Smith II, on place number 1. Aaron, I have to ask you, going into that last stint, you knew it was going to be close on fuel, but did you always think that, okay, I'm going to make it? Were you confident, or was it kind of I don't know about this one?
It was definitely pretty iffy there. I saw the iRacing fuel calculator dive 2 laps short there toward the halfway point of that run, and I figured that if I let the top 3 get away from me there, I'd have a pretty good shot at saving enough. So fortunately, I started shutting the engine off in the corners and letting it coast, and sat behind David for a little while and kept his draft going. But yeah, it worked out. Had about 1/10 of a gallon left and had just enough to do a little spin there at the end. So yeah, it was a fun race overall. I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, a little bit of donut fuel. You love to see it. We were speculating. The most important thing, do you have enough fuel for the donuts? Turns out you were able to make a trip both to Arnold's and Dunkin's there post-race. Now, Aaron, how was the race otherwise for you? Let's talk about that qualifying. You are the pole king this season, but in Michigan, you were, I say with all respect, only able to get that 3rd place. Did you think this is a more difficult track for you, or was it just down to a maybe not so perfect lap?
Yeah, I just kind of messed up turn 1 on my first lap, and then I think I had the tires a little too warm on the right side going into the second one. But yeah, at a track like this, there's a lot of room to make mistakes, and unfortunately, I made just a little bit of one there. So I'll certainly take a top 3 starting spot, but to be able to come back from that and drive up through the field and that after that first caution and get a pretty good spot in those stages was certainly a solid race overall.
You had to be smiling there near the end when you saw both the McCanns diving into the pit lane. Were you ever worried that they would have perhaps somehow be able to save enough fuel running that tandem out the front?
Oh no, with how fast they were going, I figured that if I couldn't make it, they couldn't make it either. So I took my chances there, and fortunately it worked out for me.
Fortunately, it did, and it's not fortune. It is a great strategy call, and that's all skill. Aaron Smith there, of course, winning the first round of the playoffs, gunning for the championship. So what's it gonna be like next week? We got the Dash for Cash out there coming up as the next race of the season at North Wilkesboro Speedway, but it is of course a playoff race. Does this win and locking yourself into the next round change your approach at all?
Not really. It'll certainly make me more comfortable going into North Wilkesboro, but my agenda is going to be the same. I'll try to start up front, keep it up front, and bring it home up front. So hopefully we'll be able to make that work.
Let's hope, and we are looking forward to seeing it next week. Thank you, Aaron, for the interview, and if you have anyone you would like to thank, then feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the folks at the IROC Challenge for putting the show on, and all the folks for running this race tonight. Put on a really good show. It was fun from start to finish. We certainly didn't have nearly as many cautions as I was expecting here, so it's always fun to race with them. And as always, I'd like to thank y'all for broadcasting and all the folks for watching. Looking forward to getting back at it next week.
Thank you, Aaron, and congratulations for the win.
Thank you.
That's Aaron Smith II winning here. First round of playoffs at IROC Challenge Series at Michigan International Speedway. And next up, joining Joey Atterbury, who is ready to interview the man who finished in second place.
Yeah, I've got the number 2 driver here, Neil Quick. Congratulations on that second place. It was a little bit of a chutes and ladders day for you, but fun to watch. Did you know that fuel strategy was going to save you at the end, or were you kind of holding your breath?
No, I was kind of holding my breath. I know, kind of looking there, I kind of looked out the fuel calculator and kept kind of flashing between a lap and a half and 2 laps from coming up short. So once the leaders kind of got out and pulled away, between me and Mike and Aaron, I think me and Aaron probably the light went off the same time and just started shutting it off and trying to roll through and save. And looking down at the numbers, we were getting closer and closer. And I just thought we were going to be pretty good. And as far as them guys were out and looking where we were, I knew they couldn't make it. Just trying to just have enough to get back around to that start finish line. The finish was the big thing.
Well, you certainly pulled it off there in the end. We also noticed quite a bit of an alternate strategy in stage 1 and stage 2 with when you took your tires kind of in the middle of the race. Did you come in with that strategy, or was that on the fly for you?
No, I was kind of thinking about that all the way through. I knew where the tires were wearing, falling off, and there was just a vast difference in speed. I mean, guys could go out and burn some really, really good laps, and the way the fuel was and the way the tires were, I just kind of thought that would be the best fit for me. And luckily, the second stage, the caution fell right for me. I don't know if that would have played out as well as what I had in stage 1, but here in the playoffs, to get 2 stage wins and come out with the second to start off with is big, and coming off 2 wins. So pretty stoked about that. Got some good momentum and excited about the next round.
Well, you did mention it. You had a couple bonus points leading into this chase here, and a great second place finish is a good points haul tonight. Is maybe North Wilkesboro, the next racetrack, a good track or a bad track for you? Are we going to see you up in victory lane or a little bit more in the middle of the pack, maybe?
No, when it comes to short tracks, I'm pretty excited about that, and Wilkesboro is one of my favorites. So pretty excited about going into Wilkesboro and possibly putting in victory lane.
Awesome, Neil. Well, you put on one heck of a show tonight, carving up through the field with those new tires and everybody else on old tires. It was a great show to watch. And before we let you go, is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to, say thank you to, that helps get it done out there on the racetrack for you?
Yeah, of course, everybody at the IROC League that puts this on, Spartan Transportation, all the sponsors involved with it, Loud Pedal Media, R&R, all the guys that help put this on, and of course you guys doing the broadcast, being there each week too.
Well, congratulations once again on that second place finish. A great points haul tonight for that number 2 car. And I believe we have our final podium finisher. That's the Chris Mefford in the number 46, standing with Ozzy.
Yes, he is, Chris. You started in 4th place and you ended up in 3rd place. If one were to just look at those 2 numbers, they would say it was a pretty nondescript race for the number 46. The truth was anything but. How was your race in your own words?
It was pretty exciting to say the least. Lots of strategy tonight. I was banking on this thing going along green flag run at the end,
and it paid off. But unfortunately, so was Neil and Aaron. So them guys had good runs. Congrats to Aaron, Brian, and Kevin, Brandon. All them guys were crazy fast, but I think they was banking on a caution, and luckily a caution didn't come out.
Yeah, that's always unfortunate when you end up not quite winning as you were maybe expecting with that strategy call, but it's still a great run. Of course, position 3 in the first round of the playoffs, that's surely giving you quite a bit of confidence as we head on towards next time out in North Wilkesboro. Michigan, North Wilkesboro, two completely different tracks. Which one do you prefer?
Michigan. I wish I could say North Wilkesboro. I love my short tracks, but I've never figured that track out. It's two totally different tracks in turn 1 and turn 4, or turn 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Kind of about to Pocono, all different corners. So, got some studying to do, got some reading up to do, and try to keep up these guys.
Yeah, but your consistency has been awesome all the way throughout this season. Of course, you have that race win and you have 7 top 10, so that's gonna pay dividends as we head on there. Chris, before we let you go, I have to ask one more question. How difficult was it out there today? Because we saw a lot of drivers sliding around. We saw a lot of guys sideways, really struggling with their tires. Was it as hard as it looked?
Yes and no. So, tonight you really had to take it easy the first few laps, or pretty much the whole run. That first green flag run there, I was kind of trying to play it safe, and it's so hard to, you're watching out your front and rear view mirror. You're trying to keep an eye on the guys in front of you, trying to run to them, and keep an eye behind you, trying to get run over from behind. Because I like to try to at least save my tires to be halfway competitive at the end of these runs. There's a couple guys I know. Jesse pushed early on, and he started falling back at the end of the run. He still finished in front of me at stage 1, but you can definitely tell those tires burn off. So the track was hot, track was slick. Made for a fun night.
It was indeed, and now you get to reap the rewards. Thank you very much for the interview, and if there's anyone you would like to thank, Chris, then feel free to do so.
Yep, I want to thank you guys at GSRC TV. The broadcast is always great. Congrats to Aaron and Neil. Heck of a run. Waiting for Neil to follow up his win at Daytona. Um, you know, Thanks to Wally and Pentagraph, Brian Reck, all of our sponsors and everything for putting this on for us. And if you guys haven't tuned in or subscribed or followed the Hot Dog Stand, please do so. They have a million different links.
Thank you, Chris, for the interview, and once again, congratulations for that 3rd place here.
Thank you.
That's Chris Mefford, car number 46. And with that, we are concluded with round number 1 of IROC Challenge Series playoffs. We would like to thank all our sponsors, Zoe's Place, whose mission is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe, and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team, MDT, conducts investigations and intervention activities. That is Choice Place Child Advocacy Center, whose goals are to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing for children and their non-offending caregivers. Their vision is really something that's super important. Okay, we got R&R Racewear as well, your source to all your custom racewear apparel needs and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at r-racebeer.com. That's r-rracebeer.com. That's 3 R's at the start of the URL, as well as Evidence-Based Mommy. Have questions about parenting or non-toxic living? Visit evidencebasedmommy.com, where Dr. Samantha Radford combines science and wellness to help parents and kids thrive. We got Lucky Finn. We are proud to celebrate the Lucky Finn project, who has created a nationwide support network for parents of kids with limb differences and provides limb difference education and awareness. Find more info at luckyfinnproject.org. We would like to thank as well Loud Pedal TV and 5-Star Graphics. Of course, giving a shout out to the Hot Dog Stand podcast as well as Sim Coaches. Thank you to the organizer as well, IROC Challenge Series, for contracting us here at Global SimRacing Channel. It is a pleasure to do this series for you, always home to some awesome racing. Thanks to the team today, Joey, Adam, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. You can find the link on the description below. You can and you should support the red brand. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Next race in this series, North Wilkesboro, Thursday, November 10th. That's Dash 4 Cash. Make sure you don't miss that one. It's an awesome speedway, and it's a bunch of awesome drivers as well. And hey, be sure to check out our other broadcasts listed here, including the next one, which is Grand Prix Legends at Nürburgring Nordschleife, Saturday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.